Hello Eden family, welcome back to the garden. I hope that you all are doing okay. I hope that you guys are feeling okay. If you are new here, my name is Cassandra. I am the witch, the spiritualist, the founder and creator of Magick of Eden. I appreciate your presence here on the YouTube channel. Now the reason why I wanted to talk to you guys today was because I have been having a lot of conversations about intuition, and so I felt why not just go ahead and make a video on how I developed and how I am still actively developing my intuition. And I also wanted to share with you some tools that I use. I do have them here on my altar space on the workspace, and I'm actually going to go ahead and just jump right into this video. So one of the things that I wanted to mention about my intuition, or about intuition in general, is that intuition really is just the divine knowing. It's this gut feeling. It's, you know, when you get the feeling that something's going to happen and it actually does, or when you just feel something and you know that it feels right and you can't really logically explain it, but intuitively you know, intuition and idea, that really is what that is. It's just like this divine knowing that we all have embedded in us, that we were all designed with as an evolved species. So let me go ahead and just start showing you guys what it is that I use when I am working with my intuition and whatnot. Now, some of the things that I like to use are pendulum. And a pendulum is basically an object that hangs, right? That hangs down like on a string or a chain or anything like that. And this is actually a divination tool. So, for example, what I'll do is I'll ask a question in my mind and I'll think about the question. I'll sit with it and then I'll just look to see exactly which way the pendulum is actually swinging. And what this does is that it actually helps me to come up with answers and things of that nature. For example, like if it swings this way, it looks like it will be saying yes. But if it were to swing this way, it looks like it will be saying no. It really all just depends on your vibes and how you're feeling and how it makes you feel. And that's one of the most important things about intuition, is that you really just have to stop, you know, trying to label everything and try to fit everything into one space. Instead, how does it make you feel? When you see a certain color, how does it make you feel? When you smell something, when you hear something, how does that make you feel? And that's really what it is when you're working with your intuition. Another thing that I like to use when I'm working with my intuition, or when I'm connecting with the divine, or when I'm just, you know, meditating, are crystals. And this is one of my personal favorites. I love this crystal. The name of this crystal, I am not completely sure. Honestly, I really don't care. I just know that it is an amethyst, and I will tell you the reason why I don't care about names in just a second. So first of all, can we just pause and just take a look at this beautiful crystal here? I mean, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Yes, I'm extra. But anyways, yeah. So what I like to do when I'm working with my crystals and I want to get to know more about the crystal, and what I'm obviously doing is using my intuition, is I'll look at the color. Right, so obviously this color looks like a very light purple. I'll also start to look at, you know, whether it's shiny or not. In this case, it is very shiny, it's very sparkly. And I'll look at the clusters that are on it, and I'll just look at it. I'll look at any type of patterns, just to see, like I said, how it makes me feel. So for example, with this crystal, the way that it makes me feel is, it makes me feel connected to the stars. It makes me feel connected to the cosmos. And the reason is because the way that it shines, it reminds me of the way the stars shine in the sky. The way they dance across the sky is so beautiful to me. And that's exactly what this reminds me of. The fact that the shimmer is just dancing on the clusters, especially when it hits the light and the sunlight. It is so amazing. It's so beautiful. And it really just kind of reminds me of that angelic realm. And for those of you that don't know, well, I don't think really any of you guys know, but I am in love with things that are sparkly. I love sparkle stuff. It's just so amazing. It's so beautiful to me. So that is another tool that I use to work with my intuition. Again, I just look at the colors. How do the colors make me feel? In this sense, it makes me feel really calm. It reminds me of celestial wisdom. And I actually use this when I'm connecting with my ancestors because, again, you know, celestial wisdom. Now, another tool that I like to use when I am working with my intuition are, of course, tarot cards. I love tarot cards. I have different decks, different tarot decks and whatnot. This one is the Hoodoo Tarot. I'll make sure that I link it down in the description box. I love this deck. Oh my God, this deck is so amazing. It's so stunning. I actually did a review on this deck, and yeah. And I'll link that video somewhere up here. I don't know which way it's going to be, but anyways, I'll leave like a card in there. So yeah, I'll use tarot cards Not only are they a divination tool, but they also do help to trigger your intuition and to trigger ideas. For example, when I'm working with the tarot deck, what I like to do is I like to obviously shuffle with it. And, oh, wow, okay. We're already starting. So basically, it's so funny because actually, and I'm going to give like a little mini reading because why not, right? So basically with this, what I like to do is I like to look at the color scheme of the cards. In this sense, we have strength, right? We have the strength card, and then we also have the the 10 of wands. Excuse my French there. We have the 10 of wands. And what I'll do is I'll look at the colors. I'll look at the symbols of it. I'll look at numbers. I'll look at the background, and I'll see how do these cards make me feel. In this sense, because we're looking at the strength card, the first thing that triggers me is this infinity sign. Now, the infinity sign is something that you can write without lifting your pen or anything like that, honestly, over and over and over again, seamlessly, right? And so that reminds me of this type of, it just reminds me of infinity, right? It reminds me of something that is long lasting, that is infinite, right? And then, of course, you have the woman here who is, obviously she's a woman. She has on a white dress, which the color white reminds me of protection and purity, right? And then also the background is yellow, which reminds me of the clarity, right? It reminds me for some reason of the air element. I'm not really going to get too much into the symbolism here because obviously I'm just going based off of intuition. I don't like to go always by the names, and I'll explain why. So anyways, yes. And then, of course, we have the lion here. Everything is symbolic, right? Our subconscious mind works, with, symbolism, not with language. And so my intuition triggers me, right, to obviously speak how I'm feeling, right? So in this sense, with the strength card and with the 10 of wands, how this makes me feel is that I feel like it's, what I'm sensing right now is that you're not going to find your strength by constantly doing. You're not going to find your strength by constantly holding on to things. But instead, where you'll find your strength is just really kind of, the fact that you were left open, the fact that you were left vulnerable, the fact that you actually let go, the fact that you actually released. That is where you actually will find your strength in. The fact that you have compassion enough for yourself to let go, compassion enough for yourself to lay down the sword, to lay down the knife, to lay down the wand, because you know that when you surrender to this divine calling, when you surrender to divine passion, to divine love, to divine consciousness, of course, you'll be better off. And so I'll just say something like that, for example, when it comes to reading, right? But anyway, I'm not here to give a tarot reading. I'm just here to show you how I work with my intuition. Another thing that I use to work with my intuition are journals. I like to write. I really, really do. This is actually my journal that I use to set intention. I did a scry in this book not too long ago. But anyways, I set my intention. But not only that, I'll sit there because I'm a poet, right? And so what I like to do is, obviously, like I said, I like to write. But instead of just trying to think of something to write about, I'll stop, I'll pause, and then I'll just sit there and I'll meditate, right? And meditation is actually the next point that I'm going to get to. But I'll sit there, I'll meditate, I'll breathe in deeply, and I'll just sit there and say whatever the divine wants me to write about, or whatever my intuition tells me, whatever feels right, I'll write about that one thing. For example, if I sit here and I'm getting ready to write, I'll just say, okay, well, what is it that intuitively I feel like I want to write about? And something like a cloud will come to me, and I'll say, okay, I'll start writing about that cloud. And next thing you know, I have a whole poem or a script, talking about this cloud and how this cloud makes me feel. So again, the moral of the story when you're working with your intuition is, how do things make you feel? You can start off super small by going to one of your spiritual shops and picking out some type of crystal, waiting to hear, that crystal or whatever you're looking for, that sage bundle or whatever, calling you. And the thing is that it may not be literally calling your name, but what I mean that in a very metaphorical sense, by the way. What I do is I say, okay, well, what's kind of crystal is going to be calling me today, or something like that, right? And I'll browse around the store, I'll walk around for a little bit, and then if I'm drawn to something, it's more than likely because something about it strikes me. For example, if I go into the store and I see something that looks like this, for example, this is a perfect example because this, actually, I just got this a few days ago at Shades of Africa. I'll look at it, I'll examine it, and I'll say, okay, how do these colors, again, make me feel? For example, this actually reminds me of Jupiter energy. It reminds me of something to do with like spirituality, but something to do with abundance, something to do with, I'm hearing the word clarity, something to do with not necessarily luck, because I don't really believe in luck, but it reminds me of expansion, and then it looks like an egg on top of that. So it reminds me of, you know, kind of giving birth to something, giving birth to new ideas or birth to new spiritualities and whatnot, or things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, that's honestly really just what I do when I'm working with my intuition. It's really not as hard as what people make it seem, and it's not as hard as what you would think. It's really not. It's really, what makes it hard is the overthinking, and it's really just you trying to constantly put a name on things. Now, the thing about when you're working with your intuition is that you have to completely just stop the idea that you think that you have to name something. The thing about our human minds is that we are designed to try to fit things in, because it was a part of a survival thing for us, right? And one thing that I'm learning along my journey is that honestly, names really mean nothing. Honestly, they really don't, right? And why do these things need names to begin with? But to be honest with you, all we need to know is, how does it make us see, how does it make us feel? I mean, that's just my own belief and whatnot. Of course, you know, we use names to remember things and to process things, to say, okay, this name translates to this. This thing looks like this, so I'm going to call it this so that I can remember. But what I am remembering is not the name of it. I'm remembering the feeling. You see what I'm saying? It's completely different. So that's the reason why I really don't care about names when it comes to, you know, spiritual tools. Honestly, yeah, I just really don't care. I mean, it's just me. Whatever. The spiritual community can fight me on it. I really don't care. I don't. So anyways, another thing that I would love to introduce to you are oils. Not only do I use my oils when I am conjuring, when I am setting intention, and when I'm writing petitions and whatnot, but the way that I create my oils is I go based off of, you guessed it, my intuition. For example, I'll pull some tarot cards. I'll see what's going on in the planets and things of that nature. No, I'm not a professional astrologer just yet. I'm a professional tarot reader, but not a professional astrologer just yet. But again, intuition. So I'll, you know, see what's going on in the stars. I'll sit there, I'll meditate, you know, I'll shuffle some cards and whatnot. I'll get my intuitive juices flowing, as I like to say, and I'll start to create oils. Now, each oil in the, this is really not about that, but just so you guys know, I do have multiple oils in my apothecary space. I'll go ahead and leave a link to my website down in the description box, but that's neither here nor there right now. What I do is I like to take specific herbs, whatever herbs that I'm drawn to at that moment, that I'm feeling at that moment. It could be red clover leaf, or it could be chrysanthemums, or it could be lavender or mugwort, or it could be, you know, something like that, or jasmine flowers, or sweetgrass, whatever. What I'll do is I'll just see whatever's calling my name, and then next thing you know, I have this beautiful creation of whatever oil it is, right? So for example, the self-love oil is the oil that I'll actually be talking about right now. The self-love oil, geez, I hope you guys can see that. It's so amazing. It's so beautiful. Like, I'm not going to share my recipe because I just don't want to share it, but yeah, like, I'll just see, okay, so what reminds me of self-love? And then I'll intuitively know, okay, well, lavender, I should just share an ingredient. Who cares? So let's just say, like, lavender. Oh, lavender reminds me of being calm. It reminds me of being joy. It reminds me of being mellow. It reminds me of being light. Or that's just the way that it makes me feel. I'll include that in the oil. And let's just say, for example, if I'm working with mugwort, how does mugwort make me feel? Well, mugwort makes me feel protected, or mugwort makes me feel high, or whatever. You see what I'm saying? It's really just about the vibe. It's really about the frequency. And that's one thing that I also learned about my intuition, is that it's not, again, it's not really just about the names and things like that. It's how does it make you feel? I started to look at things in the universe, or things in the world, as frequency and vibration, because to be honest with you, that's just what I do. No, I'm not with the new age hype. I'm just sharing with you guys what I have learned, along my journey. And it honestly really is just, how do things make me feel? I am drawn to different things. People are drawn to completely different things that fits their personality. But at the same time, again, you have to be able also to distinguish what you personally like with what's intuitively calling you. Now, and that's, man, it's so crazy that I just said that, because honestly, you have to remember how to distinguish it. It's not the persona that's drawn to it. It's your spirit. It's your soul that is drawn to a certain thing. And you have to be able to know the difference. You have to be able to know. These are things that I use on a daily basis, or every other day. Of course, I'm always working with oils. I'm always working the apothecary space over there to, you know, work with my intuition. I'm always talking to people, of course, being a professional tarot reader and things like that. Of course, I'm always talking to different people. I'm getting to know different personalities. I'm getting to know different frequencies and vibrations and patterns. So that is how I develop my intuition, and that is also how I am actively working to strengthen it. Now, I wanted to also say this one last thing, because I know that I'm going on a tangent right now, and I know that I'm probably derailing, but one of the last things that I also wanted to mention about your intuition is that when you start to practice these things on a daily basis, it could be something as simple as going, I don't know, going to a grocery store or something like that, you know, and picking out a food that you want. It could be something as simple as that, right? And the reason why it's important for you to work with your intuition is because in the moment, logically, you may want to make a decision, but intuitively you feel like, well, maybe I should just wait, you know? Or for example, if you have like a really good business deal, right? And somebody's like, oh yeah, you know, I can sign you on to this or whatever. You're just like logically, well, yeah, that makes sense. You know, I'm going to end up getting like $100,000 or whatever a year. And then your intuition is like, wait, pause. No, you need to stop and slow down a bit and take a few steps back. More than likely, this person could be somebody who's trying to scam you, or this could be a person who has some ill intent. Your intuition will know that, but your logic is like, well, logically, you can thrive off of this money. But you also have to be able to intuitively know what is actually right for you, and then use logic and reasoning to validate that. But the last, also what I want to add to that is sometimes logically it does not make sense. And so what I am going to tell you is that if you want to, I would advise you to go based off of your intuition first, and then logically you'll be able to explain it later. You see what I'm saying? Yes. So I appreciate you guys for listening to me ramble about intuition. I hope that this video helps someone, and I'm also going to be doing a follow-up video after this one about, we'll see in the next video. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Go ahead and make sure that you subscribe down below. I really cannot remember exactly which side it's on. It may be on this side. Don't come for me. Don't shoot me. Whatever. I can't remember. And yes, thank you so much for being a part of the Eden Family Soul Tribe. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Have a good day.